YouTube. This is Joey from ThirdDuelist, and today I'm bringing you my Chain Beat deck. This is not an actual archetype or anything. It's kind of like just a pile of cards that works together and it's really fun. This is my extra deck of tokens. It's not an actual extra deck, so you don't play an extra deck in this, so we'll get that out of the way. So we just have 40 card main. This deck's really fun. It's not a serious deck at all, but it's just pure anti-meta really, and it trolls kind of hard, but I'll just get into the list and I'll explain as I go. It's a really fun deck, but don't take it too seriously. It's not meant to compete or anything, but I will start off by saying that this is something I think everyone should at least try and play on Dev Pro, if not in real life, just because, well, it's really cheap first of all, so if you can't play it in real life, definitely play it. But I've learned a lot just about managing resources with this deck, because the whole point of this is to out-resource your opponent to the point where they just have nothing left, and you can kill them with your rose tokens and things like that. But I'll just get into the list. First, MVP here, Mr. Wind Up Rabbit. This card is so great. What it does is you can just activate its effect. It doesn't have to chain to just banish it, and it comes back during your next standby phase. Now, right off the bat, that may seem terrible, but this dodges everything. They cannot kill this card, ever. If you're doing it right, unless they're wasting 2 cards, like a Breakthrough Entity Prison, to kill this, then they're not going to be able to kill this card. And this is just your best. This is your best monster. You want to see this all the time. It's a Beast Warrior, so you can play tankies to search it. But this card's just really good. You have to play 3 of this in Chain Beat. You're just going to poke your opponent with this, and they're going to try and kill it, and they're going to fail because you can't kill Wind Up Rabbit. It's a rabbit. To accompany him, we have our 3 Evil Swarm Thunderbirds. Similar effect to Rabbit, except it has to change something. So ideally you'll want to get the Rabbit out first, then summon the Thunderbird, and then once the Thunderbird's summoned, you can activate Rabbit and chain Thunderbird to Rabbit to get out of the way of stuff. Thunderbird comes back in 1952, so that's pretty substantial considering under Rose Garden everything's going to be halved. So that means they're going to need 3,900 to kill this, which is insane. So this is your core of the deck right here. You have to play these. The point of this is to keep these safe while making your opponent burn stuff trying to kill these. And then when they run out of stuff to try and kill these, you just kill them, attack for game, because you're going to have nothing left. They're going to be top decking or whatever. So 3 of each of these is necessary, and this is your main core engine of the deck. Next, 2 Fire Fist Bear. I really like Bear in here, just because it's instant removal, plus it gives you tankies to search rabbits, and it's just a solid card. I like 2 because it's 16, so the bottomless isn't the stuff they can't, if they know what they're doing, they realize they can't bottomless the Thunderbird or kill any of your main monsters, so they're going to kill this because they can. Therefore, the first one's going to die a lot of the time because they're going to have dead set stuff that they can't activate on your rabbits and Thunderbirds. The first one's going to die a lot. But I also like 2 just because you can cycle through your tankies and generate advantage that way. And it's just a solid card, and I like having access to 2. So 2 of that.
Would you ever consider playing Gorilla?
No, because it pops back row, and Thunderbird and Rabbit don't give a shit about back row. They can just jump out of the way of everything. So
fair enough. Unless
it's a counter trap or they're wasting 2 cards to get rid of 1, which is a minus, then you don't care about back row. So another monster we play is T-King. T-King is fantastic in here. It really helps a lot with Cliff Fort matchup because you can't search and Cliff Forts have to search. It's also really good because your other matchups like Satellar Knights, Burning Abyss, they summon from extra deck, which you can negate with your T-King. So it's really good for that. And plus it's 19, which in this deck, with Black Garden on the field, which that's one of your main power cards in here, you got to have Black Garden. If you summon this before Garden, it's really hard to get over, and even if you summon it after, it can beat over tokens, because it'll go down to 950. Where as Bear, they'll both be at 800, which is kind of unfortunate. Unless you have a tanky, it's going to go down to 900 or to 800, which is unfortunate. But this goes down to 950, so it can beat over the Rose tokens, which is also kind of cool. But it's just a really solid card. We're playing anti-meta, and if you're playing anti-meta, I think you should be playing T-King. The final monster we play is a Troll Mole. Troll Mole is fantastic this format because everything but Clifford's uses the extra deck heavily, and this says no to extra deck monsters. So Troll Mode is just really good, and it's kind of along the same line as Thunder King. If you're playing anti-meta, you should be playing this card. So that's all the monsters, only 10, because 6 of our monsters are almost indestructible, so we really don't need to play anymore. Now we're going to get to Black Garden. Black Garden is a wonderful card. I'm just going to read this to you because no one actually knows what this card does. It says, if a monster is normal or special summoned except by the effect of Black Garden, have its attack and special summon 1 Rose token, which is Plant, Dark, level 2, attack 800, defense 800, and it's control on its controller's opponent's side of the field, which means if I summon a monster, you get a token. If you summon a monster, I get a token. And it's summoned in attack position. And then the rest of its effect is pretty irrelevant, but that's the main thing you're using it for. The main reason this is good is because when you summon your Rabbit or Thunderbird and you bounce it out and it comes back at normal attack. So Rabbit will be at 14 and Thunderbird will be at 1950, which when everything else is halved, that's enormous. Which means you're going to take 28. You're going to need 28 to beat over my little Wabbit and 38 to beat over my Thunderbird. So this just makes it really hard for them to kill your stuff by battle, and they're already pretty much immune to card effects because they can just jump out of the way unless they're going to be Breakthrough or Fiendish Chain, which is really good for this deck because nothing's really playing back row at the moment. So if they're not playing like Breakthroughs and Effect Negation, then they're never going to be able to kill any of your stuff, and you're just going to have Rose tokens to meat shield. So this card is essential. There are other builds of this deck that don't play Black Garden, but I feel like the best build by far is the Black Garden build. So to get our Black Gardens, we're playing 2 Terraforming. Normally I hate this card, but when your field spell is so important, like Black Garden is so important to this deck, you have to get the Black Garden to win. I'm playing the Terraformings. It's alright. It draws dead sometimes, but you have to see Black Garden. It's so essential that playing the Terraformings, it's kind of a price you have to pay. And with this deck, you should be out-resourcing your opponent so much that having 1 dead Terraforming in hand isn't going to kill you. And it's always nice to have an extra Black Garden just in case they MST it, because people don't like this card, so they get rid of it a lot.
I wonder why.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a surprise. On to some more generic, staple-y stuff. 3 Duality. Slow deck is slow. We don't special summon at all in here. Like, it's literally impossible to special summon in this deck. You can't at all. So, at least the way I've built it. So 3 Duality is great. Slow deck is slow, so you're going to play Duality. And it just helps you get to, either if you didn't draw traps, it helps you get to traps. If you didn't draw monsters, it helps you get to monsters. If you didn't draw a garden, it just helps you get what you need. Because unless you open really, really good, you're not going to have everything you need for an optimal play. But this really helps to just get you your combo, well, not combo pieces, you don't even really combo in this deck, but it gets you your important cards. So 3 Duality I feel is necessary just because it's great. Then we have 3 Tanky to search our Rabbits and Bears. We're playing Beast Warriors, so we're going to play Tanky. I don't think it's that complex of a subject, so I'll just leave that at that. We have 2 Lance. For the cases where they do try and break through Fiendish Chain, kill your monsters, this just really helps. It's a little bit extra protection. It's really good with Bear, obviously, and it's just a really good card to protect your stuff when their effects can't protect them when they're trying to negate their effects. Note I would play Dress, but I can't find my Dresses because Dress is superior to Lance in almost every way. So there's those. A couple more. D-Fissure. We don't need our graveyard at all in this deck, therefore we can play this, and if you can play this you should, because it's really pretty much an auto win against Burning Abyss. It's really great against Shadolls, which if they get a Dinko out, it really hurts. But I mean, you can just bounce the Thunderbird and beat over it. So it's not too terrible, but the D-Prison is necessary. And it's just a really good card against everything with Clifford's. So, and the last one's a Dark Hole. This would be a Raigeki, but honestly, I'm too lazy to grab a Raigeki out of another deck. And it doesn't really matter in here because your stuff can just jump out of the way. So the Dark Hole's fine. Like I said, if you play a Raigeki if you can, but in all honesty, I don't have another Raigeki just laying around, and I don't feel like dragging one out. So it's all the spells. There's 15 of those. Onto the traps. Macrocosmos. This card is freaking amazing. Have to play this card in here. Like I said earlier, with D-Prison, you don't need your graveyard. Therefore, you can play this, and if you can, you should. So macros in here. We have our 4 staples: bottomless, compulse, warning, torrential. I apologize for this hideous platinum rare warning. I really hate platinum rare if I haven't said that before.
I was gonna ask what the hell that thing was doing over there.
Yeah, it's. I traded for it and I needed a warning. Like I finished making this deck last night, and someone had a warning for trade. And this was the only one they had, so I'm not gonna complain. I got a warning, but just 4 staples. You're playing a trap heavy deck. Play the best ones, and these are some of the best ones. On the MVP trap of this deck, compulsory escape device. Now, if you don't know what this card does, I'll read it to you. It says each player chooses 1 monster they control, then shuffles it into the deck. Now you may be wondering why that's good, and if you are, I'll explain it to you. But it doesn't target, so they choose, and then you are most likely only going to have a rabbit or a thunderbird or both, or rose tokens, which you don't care about. So when you activate this card, you can chain your rabbit or thunderbird's effect, get them out of the way, and then you non-target shuffle one of their monsters into the deck. Now you may realize why this card's amazing. This card is just, it disrupts so many plays. Just non-target shuffle. They have like, the only thing that stops it is like Lance, which is inferior to Dress. But in this case, it's better because it doesn't target, which this is one of the few cards it does. But anyway, this card is essential to the deck. It's something you can't play in most things, but since you can play it in here, it's really great. There's not really much more to say about it. It's a fantastic card, and if you're playing Chain Beat, you should play this card. Continuing on with our numerous trap lineup, 2 Black Horn of Heaven. The reason I'm playing this is because we're playing a trap heavy deck, and this is good against everything in the meta right now. There's Burning Abyss, exceed a lot. Stellar Knights exceed a lot. Shadol's people aren't playing as much anymore, but they synchro some, and they seize every now and then Clifford's Pendulum Summon, which this does stop. Pretty sure it does stop it, right?
I'm pretty sure it does, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Blackhorn stops that. So the Blackhorns are really good.
If you are taking this to any like tournament or not, just ask the judge beforehand, that way you don't make a mistake and look stupid. But we're pretty sure it does.
First of all, don't take this deck to a tournament.
Yeah, don't, but if you decide you want to.
I mean, if you just want to have some fun, but don't expect to win with this. This isn't a serious deck. This is a fun deck. But it's really fun to play, and it trolls kind of hard. So, 2 Blackhorn. This is just... It's a card that I don't like to play unless I have a lot of room for traps. And this is just... People aren't playing, like, wiretaps and stuff like that. People aren't playing traps in general right now because they're slow. So this isn't going to get wiretapped too often, and it's a really powerful card. And I just like it in here. So 2 Blackhorn. Now we're going to play some battle traps. We have 2 D-Prison, because it's the best one. Just Banishment is good. So I don't really need to talk about that. 2 Mirror Force. This is my Spanish Fuerza de Espejo. I don't think I've ever had this in a deck profile before. But it's pretty. I've had that since I was a kid. Found it in my box of stuff. But playing the 2 Mirror Force, just because we're playing lots of traps, as I said. And people don't expect this card anymore. So 2 Mirror Force is just really powerful.
Especially when you have D-Fissure or Cosmos out.
Yeah, because then it's these 2 combined pretty much.
Yeah.
So Mirror Force is just a really powerful card, and people don't expect it, and it helps to clear boards, because when this deck has a hard time with established boards, because if they get an established board, you're doing something wrong, you're not drawing enough traps. So the 2 Mirror Force really help get you out of tight situations where they made a board on you somehow, and you don't really have enough power cards to answer with a big board of your own. So that's that. We play one more. This is Polynosis. Now this card is hilarious. It's a counter trap that says, when a monster would be normal or special summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, tribute 1 plant type monster, negate summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Now you may be confused because we don't play any plants in the main deck. However, if we have a black garden on the field, that means we're summoning rose tokens. Now what that means is you contribute a rose token to Solemn Judgment something. Okay, now think about that for a minute. This is a Solemn Judgment for the cost of a rose token. So it's a really, really, really powerful card, but you can't really play a lot of them because it's dependent on having black garden and rose tokens on the field. So I can't really... I mean, I could see bumping up to 2, but we are playing a lot of ways to get the Black Garden, so I could see 2. But right now I'm really liking 1 just because I don't want to dead draw this. But it's just a really powerful card. It's a counter trap. It's a solemn judgment. So
yeah, judgment's better than, or 1 judgment's better than none. So I mean, 1 is more than enough in my opinion.
Yeah, so I just really like this card. I forget who showed me this, but it's freaking hilarious when I do this to people because they're like, "What is this?" So that's the last trap. That's everything. We don't play an extra deck. Like I said, we have our tokens here. Summon. I need to get. There's a couple normal monsters with 800 attack and 800 defense that I'm probably just gonna buy on the Troll and Toad for 10 cents a piece, and just have that. So here, tokens. But it's a rabbit. So that's the deck profile. If you want to stick around for Roy to ask me some questions, feel free. But if you just came for the deck, I'll see you sometime, probably, hopefully.
All right. One of my first questions is, if someone were to take this to a tournament or at least play it competitively, how well do you think it would match up with the current meta?
It would be all right. It's just the problem with this deck is if you don't go first against a meta deck, you're gonna get killed. Because if you play against like Burning Abyss and they open Double Dante, you just cry because you don't have the resources to break big boards. So if you go first, you're fine because you draw a lot of traps because you're playing a lot of traps, and you can get to traps with your dualities in your deck with Tanky to draw more traps, and you can draw enough traps. It's fine. But if you go second and they establish a big board on you, then you just cry because you can't do anything. So that's one of the main problems with it, is it's slow, but it's all right. You can definitely steal some games from people, especially because they're not going to be expecting it. They're going to be like, what the hell is this monstrosity that just beat my meta deck? But I don't really think it'd do too well just for the fact that you have to go first or you lose.
All right. My other question is, I know none of us can afford it because we're all poor, but emptiness, what would you cut to include emptiness? Because I'm pretty sure you would love that in here.
Oh, definitely. I'd probably cut the 2 black horns because they're not necessary. Cut those. I'd probably cut the 2 black horns and maybe a mirror force.
Which one, the Spanish or the English one?
I'd keep the shiny one because it's shiny.
Okay.
I'd probably cut these 3. Get the rabbit out of the way. I'd probably cut these 3 for vanities because, like I said, you can't special summon in here, period. And that's the job. Like, these are taking the place of vanities, but I'm poor, so I'm playing these. And then, I mean, I don't really need 2 mirror force. It's just I can play a bunch of traps. So I'd cut these 3 for vanities if I wasn't poor. But as I've said numerous times and will continue to say until I'm blue in the face, vanities is going to get limited on the next list, and if not, I'm going to be really upset. So,
and not to mention, like you said before, this is a really cheap deck, so you don't have to go out and buy the emptiness. You don't need it.
I just traded for all this over the past couple weeks. Like I didn't put anything into this. So,
overall, how much do you really like this deck? Like, I know you've been talking about it a lot, but for the viewers.
No, like this deck's so much fun to play just because no one's expecting it, and a lot of you have so much control. Like that's what I like about it. I guess you have a lot of control over what's going on, especially with the number of traps you're playing. Oh, you can't kill my rabbit. Rabbit jumps out of the way. Things like that, where you just have a lot of control over things, and it's just really fun to be able to be in control and pick and choose what your opponent can do. And it's just really fun to beat people with this because they're playing something that's an actual deck, and you're playing a pile of cards, and you beat them with it. And I just really like playing it. It's a lot of fun for me. But
all right, you talked about how you really like this deck because it kind of taught you how to manage your resources. Do you want to elaborate on that without giving away too much of your game plan?
Yeah. With this deck, you're not really going to be investing a lot of monsters to the board. You're not playing a lot of monsters. So your resources are going to be, your main plays are going to be getting out a rabbit or a thunderbird with the garden, and then just continuously drawing traps until your opponent runs out of stuff. So by doing that, you're going to have to manage your traps really well to make sure you don't run out of traps before they run out of resources. So you have to pick and choose when to do things and when to let things go, even if it means like sacrificing a rabbit or something like that. But you have to be really conscious of what your opponent has left in their deck to use and what you have left in yours, so that you make sure you out-resource them, which is the whole point of this deck, is to just, you're not really going to power play, push, or anything like that, but you're just going to exhaust all of their stuff, and then they're just going to be they can't do anything else because all their stuff's been used.
All right, fair enough. Any last comments you have?
Nope, I just like to say again, give this thing a try on DevPro. It's just so much fun. It really helped me grow as a player, I think, to learn to manage my resources better. And it's just a really, really fun and trollsy idea that's not real serious, but if you're tired of the meta and want to just take a break from it and play something fun, this is a good option.
And in my opinion, I don't think Dark Claw is going to do too much against this deck. So.
Oh, no. No, it's not.
If you like the content that you just saw, you can click over here on all these other links and check out the rest of our channel.
And if you liked our stuff, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and tell us what you thought in the comments below.